I am 36 years old, my wife is 38. We met when I was a third-year student and she was a fifth-year student. We've been together ever since. After 3 years of living together, we began to live together, lived 3 more and played a wedding. After 2 years our wife became pregnant and our daughter was born. So we lived, and there were domestic quarrels, but without them it does not happen. They always reconciled immediately or even in the process of quarrels. In general, an ordinary classical family. I went to work after the institute, then one, then another, and began to climb the career ladder. As a result, I earned a 4-room apartment. We did a decent renovation there and moved in. By the way, after the decree, she also went to work and everything worked out for her, got a good position, began to earn normal money, and in total with my earnings we had a very decent amount. In general, over time we had everything. We bought an apartment for our daughter, to grow. Expensive cars, as they say, the house is full bowl. I loved my wife, I never cheated. I can drink for the occasion, but I don't get drunk or have a glass of wine over dinner. Until recently I smoked. Holidays have always been planned together. I have a hobby of scuba diving and alpine skiing. The wife refused diving, said that she was afraid, but took up skiing. So in general they lived, planning vacations, earning money and spending it for their own pleasure. His wife's work is related to foreign business, and her colleagues often flew to her from abroad to negotiate. And a little over a year ago, I began to pay attention that when these colleagues come, the wife stays with them much longer than before for many years. But I didn't pay much attention to it, even though it was striking. In the evening, before going to bed, the wife began to receive some messages on Telegram or WhatsApp, and I noticed one feature: when colleagues arrived from abroad, messages did not arrive in the evenings. A couple of times when she fell asleep, I checked the phone, but all the messages were removed. For example, I noticed that the phone gave a signal at 23 to 10, after she fell asleep. I check her phone and do not see messages later than 19-00 in any of the chats. And so the moment came when I finally began to suspect her. Once she came late again, at 22 o'clock, and I with stupidity and a joke, well, did she spend her lover? I never saw such frightened eyes in her, and she, seeing that I smiled, immediately smiled and looked away, saying that I was a fool. To all this, she also sometimes flew abroad to colleagues with return visits. And once, when my suspicions completely ignored me, I could not stand it and put on her phone a spy program that allows commands by SMS or from my personal account to control my mobile phone. Record the situation, take pictures with the camera and send all this to my personal account. As a result, she again flies on a business trip. I come from work in the evening, do lessons with my daughter, send her to bed in the 22-00, and I myself climb into the spy's personal account and send the team to record 10 minutes of conversation. After 30 minutes, an audio recording appears in the office. I listen and understand that she is in a room with a man. They speak English, but I understand everything. They giggly discuss some mundane life things. And I clearly begin to understand that there is no one else in the room except her and him. Then I hear the ringing of glasses. Her laughter. At that moment, my heart rate is already rapid. I send the command to record another 20 minutes and take a picture. I get a black square. I understand that the phone lies with the camera down, and send a command to take a picture with the front camera. I get a photo from which I finally realize that the phone is lying in the room on the nightstand, because you can see the floor lamp and part of the rim of the bed. 15 minutes later, I get another recording. My hands tremble. I turn on the reproduction, again the chatter, her laughter and his. In general, I was already in some incomprehensible state. It seemed to me that all this was unreal. My world was collapsing before our eyes. I poured myself a glass and sent a command to record for hours, and then I just got drunk like a pig. In the morning my daughter woke me up. She had to go to school. I told her she might miss her today. At work, I said that I take a couple of days of vacation at my own expense until Monday. My wife flies in on Monday. And sat down to listen to the tape for 4 hours. But I also had 40 minutes, because at that moment I heard exactly those groans of a woman with whom I had lived for more than 13 years, and I know for sure that these are groans. At that moment, it was as if I was cut with a knife. I think it hurt me so much that I even felt physical pain. I ran to the bathroom, where I vomited, I don't even know what exactly, from a hangover or from this situation. I stood under an icy shower for 20 minutes. After that, I took the child to my parents, said that I would explain everything later, and drove back. At lunch, she called and sincerely asked, "How are you, beloved?" And I stood silently, like a fool, leaning my phone against my ear, and could not squeeze out a sound. After she asked me a second time, I picked myself up and replied that everything was fine, citing a bad connection. I said that I got sick and would stay at home for a couple of days, and took my daughter to my grandmother. This day was the most difficult for me. I saw hell. I did not find a place for myself, I did not know where to go and what to do, it was so noisy in my head that I could not hear my own thoughts. I was sitting on the couch and roaring like a girl, then rage came, then apathy. But the more I threw out emotions, the easier it was for me. I just felt like everything that I had raised all these years towards her was dying in me. By the end of the day, I was almost emotionally dead. In the evening, I returned to my personal account and began sending commands to the phone, took photos from the bag and from the table. There were recordings on which it was heard that she was somewhere in a restaurant, and there were a lot of them, that is, apparently, really with colleagues. And in the evening the most interesting began, again the phone on the nightstand, again his and her voices, only now the fuss without moans. And then I could not stand it and called. She picked up the phone on about the fourth call and could be heard choking. I asked what actually happened, why is she breathing so much? The elevator broke down in the hotel, I go to the room on the stairs. I chatted with her for a minute, it was unbearably difficult to stay calm and not shake my voice, said that everything was fine and that I was going to bed, wished her pleasant dreams and hung up. I sent a command to take a quick series of pictures with the front camera. Then she made a mistake, ending the conversation with me, put the phone not on the bedside table, but on the bed next to me. And the front camera began to send a little crooked, but generally understandable photos of half of her body with a bottom-up view that she sits naked in the position of a rider on another body with her head thrown back. And then the sound recording came, where the very familiar sounds of his wife are heard, from which he perfectly understands what she is doing now. That was my last straw. I kept these tapes and materials. Although at that moment for some reason she seemed completely alien to me. As a result, until Sunday, I did not find out anything else, because everything was already clear. I started thinking about what to do next. Divorce? Scandal? And what will happen to my daughter? She is only 9 years old. She came home late on Sunday night and tried to kiss me and I pulled away. And I told her I was sick. And I wanted to hit her so hard, but of course I didn't. I went to bed in another room, on the couch. In the morning I got up before her and went to work, I couldn't be near her. All day I sat like a zombie at work, then I picked myself up and threw all these records and photos on a flash drive. There I added my video message to her, which I went and recorded in the conference room at work on my phone. The message had questions: why, what were you thinking? Have I been such a shitty husband all these years that you could do this to me? In general, classic snot in such situations. Then he came to the boss and said that I was urgently taking a week off. I called my wife and said that today I was leaving on a business trip for 1 day. In the evening, I will arrive only to quickly pack my bag. I arrived, she was already packing for me and was just kindness and innocence itself, and I, seeing this hypocrisy, was just furious. I took my bag, threw a flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom and secretly took a taxi to the second apartment, the one for my daughter. It was empty. From there, I called my friend and asked if he wanted to go somewhere abroad for a couple of days. He agreed. In the evening we ordered tickets and flew to Munich early in the morning. I told him everything. We drank, walked and, of course, with women, to be honest, I no longer felt any obligations to my wife. I did not answer my wife's calls, I only wrote that there is a flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom and I want her to insert it into her laptop. About half an hour later, my phone was red with calls and messages, but I didn't even want to read anything, I didn't care and turned it off. As a result, we walked around Munich for another 3 days, and on Saturday I flew home. Upon arrival, I turned on the phone, and it hung for 5 minutes, trying to process the number of messages that she sent me. I did not read them, so as not to wind myself up before entering the apartment. There was silence in the apartment when I walked in. I silently put the bag down, took off my boots and prepared to go and wash my hands as she left the bedroom. I've never seen her so swollen and disheveled, her face gone. She rushed to her knees and began to explain something inaudible to me through snot and tears. I made a stone face and asked her not to have a circus. After that, I asked in a calm tone, "What are we going to do?" She begged me to forgive her, again tears and snot, said that she did not understand how she got to this. She started calling me scoundrel. And so on and so forth, but you know, I was catching myself thinking that I no longer felt pity or rage for her. She shouted that she loved and always loved only me, and all this happened only because she drank too much, and in all the days that I was not there, I realized that with my own hands I broke our crystal lock. But, as they say, revenge is a dish to be served cold. I said we're no longer husband and wife, we're just mom and dad for our daughter. And we will pretend that we are doing well, but I will live my life, and you will live your life. You're not the one I need anymore, you're just my parenting partner. Maybe someday I will change my mind, but now the mere thought of intimacy with her makes me sick. By the way, I told her where I was and what I was doing. She said that she understands everything and is ready to endure as much as necessary, but no one pulled her for her language. As a result, now we live in one apartment, although to be honest I have already bought another for myself and designed for my father so that there are no complaints in the case of the division of property. I sleep almost all the time in another room, although sometimes, so as not to worry my daughter, I go to bed in the bedroom. There were several attempts on the wife's part to try and hug me when we were lying on the same bed with her, but I harshly stopped them. We haven't had intimacy in 6 months. She did not say anything to her parents, only my father knows about this. We agreed that once a year we, as it were, family, go on vacation. For a week. But they slept on separate beds. I constantly break away from friends, bought myself a motorcycle again, went diving with friends in the summer and in the mountains in December. I had new acquaintances, among whom there are beautiful women. I signed up for the gym and lost 10 kilograms, I had relief again and cubes began to appear. I sometimes think when she comes up and says she's had enough and will leave or, for example, file for divorce and share property, but she doesn't, I constantly catch her sad look at myself. But I honestly don't care anymore, even though I see her trying, but I'm enjoying her pain. Recently, I put a pack of contraceptives on the table in my office to look at her reaction. She went in to say something, saw them on the table and ran out of the office, probably crying. I did not catch up with her. She still goes to work, but no longer lingers, although, frankly, I do not follow her. One day she came up and tried to explain to me that she had severed every relationship with this person except business, as if for work she still has to communicate with him by letters or in negotiations, but she swears that now she does not even approach him. This jerk, by the way, also has a family. I told her that her relationship with her sexual partners does not concern me and she has the right to do what she wants, to report whether she pushed her legs apart today or not. I myself now sometimes return after midnight or, conversely, leave when my daughter goes to bed, from Friday to Saturday, for example. Naturally, I do not limit myself in anything. If I want to make love, then this will definitely happen. I come in the morning and go to the room to get some sleep, or to the bedroom if it's not there yet. In everyday life, nothing has changed. I still buy food, I love and know how to cook, the housekeeper is still engaged in cleaning, so nothing has changed here. I still pay my rent. Where she spends her money and whether she spends at all, I don't care. We have communication as a love for each other only for our daughter or her parents, if they come. Although, I think if I told my mother-in-law about this, she would probably strangle her right in front of my eyes. I have a great relationship with her, she is an intelligent woman and strictly honors family values. Perhaps this is another argument why the wife does not want to leave. Apparently, she is afraid of her mother. After all, my mother will definitely ask the question, what the hell is happening, and I will not lie. The only thing I am now sending her with personal requests, arguing that it was necessary to pick up a lover from the same country and city and then she would have an assistant, and not on a 5-hour flight. In general, I break off on it as best I can, and I really like it. Yes, I may now be a monster, but this is a monster that she herself created. And you know, I'm amazed at her perseverance and patience. It's like a red rag for a bull. I wonder how much more she can sustain. And do not say, she is the mother of your child. She didn't care much when she gave herself to this foreigner. For 6 months I went on business trips or here, in the city, pushed my legs apart, not thinking about my daughter or my husband. This is how I live now. Everything is fine with my daughter, we are wonderful parents with her, I still do lessons with her in the evenings. My mutual friends know nothing. Maybe when I get tired of checking on her or realize I've had enough, I'll turn off bastard mode and sit down to talk to her, but not now. Not now.